Hey everybody, it's Joy Packard. Here it is again. It's our third interview today. I know we are going strong and pumping it in, but it's like the weekend before SimplezonSeller next week, our live event, and we're coming in strong, like I say, and it's hard to catch these speakers because you know what? They are all amazing, always doing amazing things. This dude had just got back from Florida at some other Amazon. He's always somewhere. If you follow him, he's in China, he's in Guatemala, he's everywhere. Everybody wants Tim Jordan, and so they do.
Everybody gets Tim Jordan, whether they want it or not.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody does. Everybody's asking for him, and he's just so kind, and he's always there. And he's become such a dear friend to me and an awesome mentor. And I met him last year at the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. And this is another important thing that I'm stressing to you guys is the importance of events, and that is, I would never met Tim, I wasn't even going to go to that conference because of whatever reason. I had all these excuses, and we're taking away all the excuses for you guys at this event. We are, our hotel is 30 minutes from each airport. There's 2 airports on each end. We have, an installment plan. We have amazing 6- and 7-figure income earners on stage for you guys, giving away bonuses. We're giving you promo codes. I don't know what else to do for you guys. You need to be here. So I was at the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference, and there was this guy speaking over there, and everybody's crowded around him. And I was thinking, who is that? And so I started kind of hanging over there and got to meet Tim and talked for literally, I think an hour, maybe an hour. My feet were hurting, and we were at the Rockies baseball game. And I was like, this is way more interesting to me than the baseball game. So that's how we met. And since then I went on a trip that he put together with going to Guatemala. It was the most incredible trip. I'll let him tell you about his trips that he puts on, but Hickory Flats, his company, is completely an amazing company. I endorse anything Tim Jordan does.
That's a little scary.
I know. Well, let me take that back. No, but he is just, again, we've been talking about this throughout the day about the kind of caliber of speakers that we have. And that is that they're willing to give. It's not just about, I'm coming here, I'm going to speak, but they just give and they give and they give. And I'm super proud and honored to have, my speakers, and specifically today, today I have Tim Jordan on. So Tim, I know most people know you, but there's going to be people who don't know you. So if you can just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and, your journey and how you got to be where you are.
Yeah. Wow. That I could spend 2 hours doing that. But
I know.
I got into e-commerce accidentally about 5 years ago, and somehow something clicked for me. Did really well early on, and started, mostly wholesale, got into private label, and ran into a lot of hurdles, ran into a lot of problems with mainstream private label methods, and started getting really stubborn because I wanted to figure it out, and we started to figure it out. And while all that was going on, I had people coming to me and saying, hey, Tim, help me do this, help me do this. We set up a company in China. We set up a company in Central America where we source. We're currently sourcing from about 5 different countries for products. And all the while, we're doing this for our own brands and our own products. We're figuring out what works and what doesn't. We're passing that information on to other people. So I am going to argue with you, though, Joy. You said a second ago that you're privileged and lucky to have me, but that's completely wrong. Because one of the biggest things that I started doing to find success in the business was going to conferences. And the first conference I ever went to was only like 70 or 80 people. It was in Philadelphia, I think. And it was incredible because I started networking with people. I started learning from other people. I started going to dinner with strangers. I started just randomly meeting people in the lobby. And that's what really propelled my business, because the truth is we're all inadequate and incapable of creating an online business ourselves. Okay, now we can run it ourselves, but we need to learn from others. We need to gain other people's experiences. We need to learn from other people's mistakes. We need people to mentor us. We need people to get us in the right mindset. We need people to collaborate with. And for me, I need to find business partners. So at conferences, I literally found all of my business partners at conferences, random conferences. And I realized that making that one step to get on an airplane or drive a few hours and spend, $300 or $400 or $500 for a conference, the return on our investment was incalculable. So the reason I want to argue with you is I get more going to these conferences probably than I give, because I'm going to meet amazing people. The speakers on your lineup for this conference are people that I've been wanting to meet. Like, I was reading through the list and I was like, holy cow, these are people that I wanted to hang out with. And I'm going to pin them down in the lobby, and I'm going to make them talk to me, and I'm going to learn from them, and it's going to help our business. And hopefully I can help theirs too. So I would say that, all the stuff that I've done, it's a pretty big list, and it's some kind of cool stuff. Maybe some of it sounds cooler than it really is. I can attribute to learning from other people, networking, coming to these conferences. If I would go to a conference and learn one golden nugget, like if I would learn one tip, one tactic, one mistake that I was already on the road to making and avoid that, like it was immensely beneficial. So like this week I was in Florida for an Amazon Seller Summit, and I went to a meetup with Carlos Alvarez, the South Florida meetup. I literally walked around this Amazon conference and would intentionally sit at different tables. I would intentionally walk up to strangers, and that's a little uncomfortable for me, right? But I would walk up to a stranger in the lobby and say, so what brings you here? And it would start an hour-long conversation, and I would learn something so valuable from them. And we'd pass out business cards, and I'm Facebook messaging the next day with these people, and we're learning from them, and they're learning from me. So really, I would say that all of the things that I do, one of the most important is coming to these networking events, coming to these conferences, learning from others. And because of all of this, I have learned that like this online business thing isn't just a game. Like, it's not a hobby. All right. It can be a side hustle. It can be a side business. It can be a full-time business. I eventually had some breakthroughs and some hurdles and was able to walk away from my job. And now I am a complete online entrepreneur type guy. I've got my own office set up. I've got staff that work with me, incredible staff. And we're developing new products literally every week that we're launching on Amazon. It's awesome. But it's all because I started learning from others, collaborating with others, and building out my network. And you have to go to events to do that.
I love everything you said. I agree 100%, completely agree with you. I remember, when I started, and I talk about this a lot, and that is, we can sit behind the computer and go through courses and go through YouTube videos and all of these different things to give us information about how to sell, and how to do this and that. But it's not until you get yourself out there. And believe it or not, I said this earlier, I am somewhat of an introvert. I know that's hard for you to believe, but I put myself out there, and like you say, Tim, it's really hard to go. Like, I was at a conference in Vegas I think it was a couple months ago. I can't remember when it was, but I didn't really know anybody there. It was a first conference that I went to, and most people were and partly because a lot of them were from the UK, and it was an international conference, and I had to. I mean, normally I go to these things and I know at least one person, or two, and this was, one of those things. And it's when you get yourself out there, you never know who's sitting next to you. You could be sitting by, the 7 or 8 figure Shopify expert that you've been wanting to learn about, or whatever, sitting by Tim Jordan at a Rockies game and saying, man, I just don't even know who he is, but I'm going to talk to him. And then you never know what can turn out from that. I was able to go to Guatemala with you. It was trip of a lifetime, honestly. If those of you, and he'll talk about, in a little bit here, Hickory Flats and the trips that he puts on. I mean, first class, he completely doesn't even, what's the word that me and John were saying? He over-delivers. You over-deliver.
Yeah, undersell and over-deliver.
Yes, and he does. I mean, I took my best friend with me on this trip, and we both still talk about Guatemala. And everything, if Tim Jordan is involved, it is done. And I think Amanda and I were saying this too. Everything's done first class. It's nothing is sloppy. Nothing is done that way. And it's just like, to have somebody of this caliber at our conference for you guys, and he's approachable. I know that it's hard for some of us to do that, but Tim is just like, if you catch Tim anywhere, he will just pour it out. He'll just pour out everything that he knows, whether you want it or not. Right. You're going to get it whether you want it or not. And by darn it, you're going to be a millionaire whether you want to or not. And I mean, I think that, who was it that I was talking to earlier? It was Tammy. And she was saying how, one thing that she loves about SimplezonSeller is the kind of people that come as speakers that are handpicked. It's like, we don't just throw people on the stage. It's like, okay, how do I know this person, and how can they give value, and how can it help, the community of people that are gathering here? Because, just like you and I, we spend $300, $400, $500 to go to an event, got to pay for our hotel, pay for our airfare, pay for our food. And, before you know it, we're spending $1,000 or more. And so if that's what people are doing to come to this conference, then I want to give as much value with not just myself, but the people who are representing what we're doing. And Tim, you are a great example of that. So,
well, thank you. And I will say this, there are conferences that I'm excited about, and then conferences I'm super excited about. And these smaller, more intimate conferences are the ones that I get super excited about. And I don't just mean that from the networking perspective, but also the content, because, I go to a lot of the big conferences. Okay. I go to these massive conferences, and to be honest, half the speakers are paying to be on stage. There's a conference, and I won't name any names, but there's a conference that's been going on the past few years that to get up on stage, you have to spend $10,000 as a sponsor.
wow.
Well, then what happens? It's a pitch fest, or the content isn't relevant. And I was just I was in Vegas and got to hang out with Devin Motti. And Devin, I know, is one of the speakers. Awesome dude. Like, you won't see him on a big stage, but you get him in a small group and just start picking his brain. He's going to dump more content on you than you know what to do with. But
amazing.
There, I was introduced to Perry and Kim. And I'd seen Perry and Kim on Facebook. So I just met them a couple weeks ago. And I'm sitting there listening to them talk about automation and scaling your business. And it was like savant level genius going on, what they were talking about. And you're not going to see them at a big conference because, they're too busy with their business to pay $10,000 and sponsor to get on this. But when they come to a small conference like this, where they're handpicked because of their content only, this is the kind of place that you learn. I'm going to SellerCon in June, 4,500 attendees, I think, right? Like a $1,200 ticket price.
Yeah, I was thinking about one of that, but yeah.
And I'll go there for the networking. But when it comes to people that are speaking, I will learn more from the speakers on the list, Joy, at your event than I will at SellerCon. I'm 1,000% certain of that.
Wow, that's wonderful to hear. That's humbling to hear that, Tim. But it's true that, Perry and Kim, I just actually was talking to them. But I'm moving to San Antonio. They live in San Antonio, so I'm super excited to network with them. But they have more kids than I do. I
13,
found somebody who has more kids than I do.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean, though. Like when I was talking about with Tammy, it's like you have these people that you network at these events, and you're like, this person is amazing, but you won't see them on stage. And as you're talking about, being paid speakers, everybody who's listening, I want you to know that at SimplezonSeller, the speakers are here because they want to be here. They are not paid. I don't pay their way. I don't pay their hotel, nothing. So that tells you something, that they're here to share with you what they know and give you the value that I know that they can give. And so I love that. I think it's such an amazing thing to know that this conference, like I say, like I'm not asking them to pay $10,000 to be on stage. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine. But last year's event was super magical, and I feel like this event is going to be just as such. And like you say, Tim, it's like, in that little no more than 100 attendees is where I find the little magic. Is any more, getting bigger at an event, you kind of start losing a little bit of that. I guess for me, that's one thing. Like even just we went to Guatemala with Tim, like I say, and I can't remember how many attendees, maybe 10. And those people are like my best friends. Like I fell in love with them, and still like, I'm like, man, this is, my best friend, she's so quiet, and, she doesn't really get out, but she still talks about all the people from Guatemala. And so I think it's those small, intimate settings where you get to know people are sharing, it's not like, I've been to events, and I said this earlier, like, and they were sitting at the desk, they were just like this, and they were like listening, and, you try and talk to them, and they're like covering their notes because they don't want you to see what they're writing. I mean, I'm just like, dude, I don't care what you're writing. I just wanted to get to know who you were. I'm just saying, like, it's really awesome, the kind of people like you, Tim, that would just give. And
Thank
so,
you. So do you want me to share some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about at the conference?
Yeah, give a little teaser about it.
And I'll give a teaser right now. We are probably Monday going to release, for those of you that are coming, a VIP networking activity that's going on after the last day of the conference on Saturday. Now, Amanda Balcazar and I were talking, and we said, you know what? We've been doing these at a lot of conferences, and we've been putting these on, and they're always awesome. We drag people out of their shells, and so we talked to Joy about it, and we're going to release that information on Monday, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And Joy, just so you know, I just reserved the 30 passenger limo like 30 minutes ago. I paid for that. So we're locked in. It's going to happen. But let me, yeah. So when it comes to these conferences and all the networking that I do and all of the people that I get to meet, I meet a lot of people that want to build, start, or scale their online business. That's why we're all here. Like, there's no doubt. Everybody's like, yeah, of course I want to do that. And one of the things that I've started to figure out is that generally people are 90% of the way there. They have 90% of the information they need, the tactics, the skills, but the last little hump is what they're struggling with. And this could be for people that want to start their own brand. This could be for people that are doing big numbers with retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, and they want to like just pass that little hurdle of like getting their own brand out there and their own private label. And after several years, I kind of figured out that this is one of the biggest problems that people have is finding the right product.
Absolutely.
Finding the right product. And what we've done through our own trial and error and helping literally hundreds of other private label sellers is taking that struggle and dissecting it into bite-sized pieces that we can start quickly and easily. I was at this meetup, this Carlos Alvarez South Florida meetup this past Monday, and I had people asking me before I could even get my presentation started, so what does it take to get into private label? $10,000, $15,000? I was like, no, a few hundred. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, this isn't any BS. Like, I don't sell a course. Like, I'm not doing that. You can start, with $300. Like, literally the method that we use starts very small, identifying products that are unique, products that are in demand, spending a few $100s to test it. That way you're not just buying a container of something from China and hoping that it sells. And then we have this very, very simple dissected process for launching products, identifying, testing, and launching products. And that's what I'm going to be talking about at the conference, among other things. And like I'm a pretty hypercritical guy of myself. So for me to say this, I really believe it, and it took me a long time to get to this point. But every time that I talk to people about what I'm going to share at this conference, like I see light bulbs going off. Like I see people going, holy cow, like I get it now. We did a thing in Vegas a couple weeks ago. We had like 50 people in a workshop on one day. And literally light bulbs are going off, and I have tons of people that have been private messaging me going, oh my goodness, like I get it now. I've wanted to get into private label. I've wanted to launch my own product. I've wanted to scale up, and I needed that tiny little bit. So I've really honed down the information that we give because I speak at conferences all over the place. I'm speaking in China, Hong Kong, Australia, and like 3 other conferences in the US in the next 60 days, wow. Right? And this is what I'm talking about. It's really important. So you guys come, and I think that I'm presenting the first day, right?
I have to look at the schedule.
I think so.
Oh, and you are doing the opening, but then you have like your main one, I think, like on the 3rd day possibly.
Okay. So I'm going to be there the whole time. You guys pin me down in the lobby, pin me down, be knocking on my hotel room door at 6 in the morning. I'll come out and talk to you. I don't care. But I want to share this with you because it's powerful and it's real and it works. I can't stress how excited I am now that we've kind of figured out not only how to do it ourselves, but also how to teach others to do it. I promise you it's going to be something that's eye-opening and something that you're going to take a lot of value out of.
I'm so pumped right now. I'm just like, want to jump out of my chair and put on some music or something. It's so exciting what you're saying. I just can't get over it. I mean, guys, I didn't know all the stuff that Tim's going to do. See, and that's another great example. Him and Amanda just came up with this idea like this morning. I'm like, that sounds cool. I'll probably be like completely dead by the end of the event, but hey, that just sounds super fun. And
so let me give some more details about that, and we'll launch it and let you guys sign up. But basically what we're doing is we're taking people that would normally not go out and network, and we're forcing you to network. Okay. Oh. So what we're doing on Saturday is we're going to start at 6 p.m. after the event. So we'll have time to brush your teeth, brush your hair out. If you guys need to brush your hair out, bald guys like Perry don't apply. 6 o'clock, we've got a party, like a party bus, like a big limo that sits like 25 people. We're all going out to dinner. And after dinner, we're going to a karaoke like club. All right. Now this is weird because I never experienced sales in China, but it's called KTV, and KTV is not like a big karaoke bar. I'm not in that, but it's private rooms, right? So we have reserved a KTV room for, I think 23 people is how many it holds, 25, something like that. And literally it is some of the most fun you've ever had in your life. I've done it in China. I've started doing it at conferences here, and everybody that goes absolutely loves it. So imagine you go in like this private room with like 23, 25 other people. You can talk, you can network, you can get to know them. At some point, I will be on like the coffee table in the middle of the room with a microphone, screaming quotes, not screaming quotes, but like screaming into the mic, literally quoting like Tupac, because that's how I roll. And it's going to be awesome. And 5:30, John said 5:30 we're leaving. Sorry. But it's going to be awesome. So if you guys are coming to the conference and you want to engage in more networking, we're going to release that information here Monday. Come out and do that. If you've never gone out and had fun with like a bunch of other like e-com sellers, like this is where the magic happens, right? You get all this content during the conference, and then at nights, at dinners, at lunchtime, like that's where you make the personal connections. And when you combine content with the personal connections, like that's when the magic happens. So guys, I can't stress this anymore. Like if you are on the fence about coming to this conference, and I'm not getting paid to say this or anything, but if you are on the fence about coming to this conference, I will absolutely guarantee you will learn something that will positively affect either your business or your personal life, because that happens a lot too. You'll come and you'll meet with other people that are like-minded, and it'll trip something in your brain, change your mindset, and it will allow you to continue this entrepreneurial journey 100%, because, you know, a lot of times we're secluded as entrepreneurs. My wife has no clue what I do. She knows that I bring money home, and she knows I travel a lot, and I get excited, and I work late nights sometimes, but that's it. She's never looked at an Amazon Seller Central account. She's never helped with product development. And if I weren't going to these events and networking with people and learning from other people, I'd be stuck in a bubble. So by going out and like meeting people, you see Amanda Balcazar's coming, and her husband, John. I literally met them 2 years ago. I met John at another conference. This is what I did. I was at a conference, and I got on the conference group, and the Facebook group, and I said, hey, the first 10 people that respond, I'm going to buy you a steak dinner. And like 10 people were like, I'm in. And John really is an introvert, like super introvert. And he shows up, and I shake his hand. I'm like, man, who's this good looking guy with these big muscles? Like now I'm intimidated. Right. And he and I like hit it off somehow, ended up getting to be really good friends. A few months later, I met his wife, Amanda, and we've been like working with them and in constant contact for 2 years now. Like they've turned out to be some of our best friends. And like we're doing some mastermind stuff. We formed our own little mastermind group to do product funnels. Like we're doing all sorts of really cool stuff. But literally that relationship, which has helped me immensely, and I've had a lot of fun, would not have happened if I didn't step out of my comfort zone. Because that conference, I knew nobody. There was not a single soul I knew at that conference. But I just randomly put a Facebook chat out, said 10 people, let's go to dinner. And like that was it. And I met a lot of people in that. I met one of my business partners, Kate Ames. She showed up.
Yeah.
And like a year later, she's my business partner. And like we're doing private label stuff together, and she's a genius. And it never would have happened if I hadn't got on a plane, flew down to Orlando to that conference, and met a bunch of strangers.
That's an amazing story, because that's exactly how you have to begin. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, we can all look at Tim, and we can all look at these people who are, you know, like Danny Stock, who is one of our sponsors, Amazon Legends. And, you know, he was at our conference last year, and someone had mentioned him, and like, he was kind of like starting out, you know, he had like 100 people in his group. And if you look at his group now and the things that he's doing, is like somebody, you know, it's just like he's progressed to this, you know, level. And I'm just saying that you have to start somewhere. You have a first conference, you have a first person that you want to meet, you know, a first person that you want to network with or whatever. And don't be afraid, because they're probably afraid to come talk to you too. You know, most people are there, and they kind of, you know, it's kind of like going to school. Like my son, just, you know, he's in San Antonio, he's a new kid on the block, but my kids are Packard. So they, you know, they're like their dad. They're not scared. You're going to meet my husband, by the way. I'm just warning you. He is like amazing. And he's going to come up, and he's a hugger, and he's like, just, wow, you know, it's like, can you imagine both of us together? And you'll meet some of my kids too. But I'm just saying that you have to get yourself out there. You have to get to events. And this event, I honestly don't know if, I mean, I look at the speakers, and I'm just like, how, you know, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get this many people of this caliber all in the same room at the same place as this. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I know there's other bigger events. It's like what you say, and they can, you know, but I'm just saying that I'm just humbled, honestly. When I just look at, sometimes like in between these interviews, I just look at, when I'm trying to update, stuff with my VA, and I'm just like, how is that person coming? And how is that person coming? And it's, what it's from, guys? It's from networking. And a lot of the people that you see as speakers is because I went to an event and I got out of my introvert. I know you don't believe me that I'm introvert, but I can turn into an extrovert it's interesting, by the way, about the karaoke, because I actually messaged the hotel lady saying, hey, I'm thinking about, because I thought about you, Tim, actually, karaoke, because, you're trying to karaoke stuff. And then here you and Amanda were telling me that this morning. So it's interesting because we're on the same wavelength, because I love to dance and I love to, have fun. And it's true that when you get together with e-commerce or any event, when you start getting people outside of that and, in a fun way, it's just easy to open up and just talk about, things about your business. And then on a personal level where you actually become seriously some of the best friends, like in this industry, like what Tim says. So
I can honestly say that week in and week out, month in and month out, as I go to these events, I see one handshake that changes people's lives. And that's meeting one person, shaking one hand. Like literally it starts a relationship that changes everything. And that's no BS. Like that's not an exaggeration. Like one handshake. Literally, my business partner, Kate, that I first started teaming up on private label stuff, I met her at a dinner. I met John Balcazar at that same dinner. 2 months later, I shook hands with a guy named JB Brown, and he came to China, and he's a business partner now. Cassie Baskett's a business partner with her. I met her at a conference, shook her hand one time. I have literally sat like in China at the airport. We're all leaving Shanghai, and I've got these two amazing, strong women that are sitting there with me talking, and they're both struggling with different things. And I'm like, ladies, listen, like you're the perfect complement to each other. Like you two need to like partner up on these products. And they look at each other and like, oh yeah, you're right. But if they weren't there meeting with each other, they never would have taken those steps. They never would have found those little keys to 10xing their business, 20xing their business, and taking it from what we in our own minds think of as like a side hustle, maybe we'll fail, maybe we'll succeed, to something that's real and something that will give you, that extra money to take your kids to Disney a couple times a year, or, make an extra house payment, pay your house off a little faster, just have more, money to do some fun things and take the grandkids out more, all the way to literally walk away from your 9-to-5 job. Like, I know it sounds really scammy and like I said, BS-y, but this is what it is. One handshake, one conference, one connection is the road that like takes you to those things that you may be thinking aren't possible.
Absolutely. And I again, completely agree with that. And I like I say, I look back on my own journey and then my e-commerce journey, and it's true. It's from knowing one person and the next, and the knowledge that you get and getting, I think it was Tammy that was talking about this earlier too, where she's like, there's just like one thing that I wasn't quite sure of, and I was probably about to fail. And I met somebody at a conference and then sat by them and said, this is what I'm doing. And then they walked her through it. And then, it's just amazing. And so, well, Tim, I know that your time is super valuable, and I appreciate everything that you do for me and for everybody in the community that follows you, and for those who need to be following you. And I thank you, live viewers, for your time. It's a Saturday afternoon. You guys should be taking a nap and or enjoying the sun or doing something with your family, but you're here, and we thank you for that. Replayers, if you come on, let us know you're on replay. You need to watch this whole thing. Tim has given some incredible value. And then here we are with this karaoke limo bus thing that they're coming up with. I didn't ask them to do this, guys. That's what I'm saying. This is the caliber of speakers that are coming and just stepping up and doing it on their own. And I seriously have chills right now, if you can see it when I say that, because, and it almost makes me want to cry. And so, look, I'm getting emotional.
Stop. Listen, but keep this in mind. We do these things for us. Like me and Amanda literally had the conversation this morning. We were like, hey, let's get a bunch of people and just go out to dinner. And then with me, things always escalate, right? And I'm like, well, let's get a bus and let's go to dinner. Let's go to this like private karaoke thing. But we do that because we want to meet you. Like we want to meet new people. So if we can facilitate that in any way and set it up and have a lot of fun, but pull people out, like I am confident that I will meet somebody at your conference Joy that I have never met before, that 10 years from now, I will still be talking to and be friends with. I'm confident because it happens every single time. So, again, we do this stuff for us. Like, we do this stuff because, and when I say us, I mean a community, because all of us gain value from this and all of us grow and all of us become friends, and it makes our jobs a whole lot more fun, but it also makes our jobs a whole lot more successful.
Absolutely. Man, thank you, Tim. And thank you guys all for being on here today. It's been an incredible interview. Again, we are hitting it hard today. I think this is the third interview today. We have one more tonight, possibly some more if they message me, but these are just small little tidbits of what you're going to experience. Can you imagine? This has only been like 30 minutes with Tim Jordan. Imagine if you have him for 3 days, and then karaoke night and dinner, VIP dinners with him and the rest of the speakers. It's going to be an amazing, amazing event. And you still have time. The link is below, and message me if you want. We have some deeply discounted promo codes to hand out. And we also have a bonus that we're doing that when you do that, we are allowing you to, we're giving away 2 free VIP dinner tickets. But you have to do it under the interview and tag me so that I know where you were hearing all this, so I can look back and say, yeah, that's that. So anyway, you guys have an amazing rest of your afternoon. I hope to see many of you in Houston next week. Tim, again, thanks so much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.